Rounding Third, Boston podcast. Harrison Smith and Nick Arno are breaking down every pitch, every game, and every series. Live every week. This is your home for all things Red Sox. Let's talk Sox.
Welcome back into Rounding Third, Boston, episode 7. Let's crochet this season together. I'm Nick, and we have Harrison tonight. How are we doing, Harrison?
Fantastic. How we doing, Nick?
Not too bad. Played a little golf today, so I'm a little sore. I'm a little tired, but, you know, I would say I hit him straight and hit him well, but I did not do either. So here I am, talking some baseball.
You know, everybody says hitting a baseball is one of the hardest things you can do, but hitting that little white ball that's just like standing there in front of you is pretty damn hard.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many divots I left. But anyways.
He resodded the fairways, don't lie.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Before we get going, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow on Instagram, Rumble, TikTok, all the platforms. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We also have our affiliate links at the tops of all our socials, Dick's Sporting Goods, MLB Shop, and Lids. You can click on these links and shop for products through these companies, through our links, and we get a nice little kickback that supports the podcast, and it comes at no additional cost to you. So if you're ever going to buy anything from these companies, just use our links, and it helps support us. So thank you to everybody that already has done that. And please continue using those.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And also our Rounding Third merch. Our store is out. It's on Etsy. You can find it at Rounding Third Baseball on Etsy. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, everything you can find on there. And that also shows that you support us. So, and thank you to everybody that's already placed orders.
And you know you'd look good with some Rounding Third swag.
Absolutely. So please go ahead and do that. All right. Into the Red Sox news. Garrett Crochet continues his spring training dominance by striking out 9 in his last outing. Are we in for a treat here in Boston this year?
I mean, I was watching that game, Nick. I watched part of it, and I had this incredible revelation, like watching him pitch. He's good. Like, he's good. I mean, it was like a clinic out there. It was fastball, sliders. It was blowing it by people. It was spotting it. Like, he does a little bit of everything out there. And even the contact that they had was like, you know, pop-ups and bleeders. Like, I don't think I didn't see a ball hit hard. But he just messes with people out there. Like,
yeah.
he'd go fastball, slider. Then he goes slider, fastball. The next, like, you don't know what he's going to throw, because he just throws whatever the hell he wants. Because he knows you can't hit it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, it's different if this happened at the beginning of March, right? When we're still, you know, playing a lot of minor league guys. But that last start, he's pitching against guys that are either on a major league roster or really close to making a spot on the roster. So I think this is a great sign for the Red Sox. I just hope Walker Buehler can also follow it up behind him, because if this is any indication of what we're going to see in Boston this year, we're in for an absolute treat to watch this guy pitch every 5 days.
I mean, it's like he's just messing with people. It's a game.
Yeah,
Absolutely a game. Like, and there are times he was throwing challenge fastballs and like 2-0 counts just by people. It's almost not fair.
No, I mean, he's a big dude anyways, right? He's like 6'4", right?
I mean, he's also lanky. Like, he's got some length to him, and he's got that crazy high kind of leg kick with the foot flail, and then he just drops his foot and explodes. It's incredible to watch. But to me, like, I've heard people say, talk about, is he Chris Sale 2.0? And obviously Crochet said, I don't want to be Chris Sale 2.0. I want to be Garrett Crochet 1.0. Right. I want to be me. And I'm at the point now where I don't think it's fair to compare him to Sale, because I think his stuff is better than Sale's was at this point in his career. But he's also got more control of it. I mean, what made Sale so good was that he was like Randy Johnson at times. Like, he was like selectively and effectively wild.
Yeah.
Crochet, he's just dotting pitches. And he's in full control from pitch one.
It helps he's got a little bit tick in velocity too over Sale.
Yes.
But I mean, Sale threw from that 3/4 arm slot, had crazy movement on his slider and two-seamer, and throwing from that arm slot, you never know what kind of movement you're going to get. So effectively wild is definitely a great way to put Sale. Garrett Crochet throws a little bit more over the top, but I mean, it just gets on you in a hurry and it is by you before you can even think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know the stuff is good when guys are striking out and they're walking back to the dugout, kind of shaking their head, talking to themselves, because like they're walking away going, "What the hell just happened?"
Yeah,
like that's what they're saying to themselves. What just happened?
Yeah, I mean, we've all had those at bats, right?
Absolutely.
Where we're turning around, walking back, and we're like, "Did I just even go up to the plate at all?"
Yeah, did
like,
that even happen?
These are professional hitters doing that. Like that says something. So I'm excited to see this guy pitch for sure.
It's going to be like back to the days of Pedro. Like on the nights he pitches, that ballpark's going to be electric. There's going to be people running around with K signs. It's going to be fun. It'll be like a carnival when he's on the mound because it'll be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. This came out that Liam Hendriks is endorsing Aroldis Chapman to be the closer. So do we agree with this? Do we want to see Chapman in the closer role, or do we not really have a choice?
Well, I mean, we don't have a choice, obviously. Like, I think Cora is going to ride whoever fits best based on the situation or point in the season or whatever. But I mean, I just want the best guy out there. I mean, if Hendriks is lighting it up, then you go with the hot hand. If Chapman's lighting up, you go with the hot hand. If they determine that Chapman's back and he's the old Chapman to a certain extent, then I'm okay with that. But if it's going to be the Chapman of last year, who's Jekyll and Hyde, and he gets lit up one night and comes back and he's lights out the next, like we've lived that for so long, and with that Boston bullpen the last few years, I don't want that anymore. Like I just want a guy who's going to go out there, throw strikes, and give us a chance. Our save's going to get blown, absolutely, but like I don't want. They were blown. We've blown saves last few years with errors and walks and just stupid stuff. Like go out there and just pitch effectively, and if you lose, you lose. But
I think with Chapman though, like I think he signed this contract knowing he's going to stay here all year, right? The last few years, he's like, well, I'm going to sign with the Royals because I know I'm going to get traded at the deadline. I'm going to sign with the Pirates because I know I'm going to get traded at the deadline. So I think here he knows that he can settle in and really buckle down and focus on pitching, focus on closing out games. Is he still going to be a heart attack closer? 1,000%. I think it's heart attack closer for sure with him. I mean, just his track record the last few years. But I always said that kind of what you did. Like Hendriks and Chapman should be interchangeable depending on the matchups coming up to the plate and who the other team has on the bench. Whether that happens or not, or whether Cora makes a change mid-season, that is also a possibility. But I don't mind also if he cements these guys in those spots. Hendriks, you got the 8, Chapman, you got the 9th, because the Red Sox really haven't had stability in their bullpen for quite some time, right? We haven't really known who the closer is since who? Koji, Papelbon?
I mean, when Kenley Jansen the last couple of years was technically the closer. Year. But with Jansen, it was kind of like there were nights that there were save situations where like he didn't come in, and you were like, well, that's weird. Like, why wouldn't he come in? There's also, he also needed additional rest, and it's like, Jansen was the closer, and he got the majority of your save opportunities, but it wasn't like the vast majority. Like there were other guys going out there and picking up saves, or other guys that were coming into the 9th when he was available. Right. I think Cora still played matchups to a certain extent, and like I don't want to see the Red Sox go back to like the days of the closer by committee, where it was like here's 3 different guys and we'll just pick whoever's got the hot hand, the best matchup. Like I'm okay with a couple of guys that you're going to look at matchups and make a decision, because I think Cora understands the flow of the game well enough to do that. But I would also, I think it's better for everybody when you can kind of settle into a role. Like you said, like Hendriks, you're the 8th, Chapman, you're the 9th, or vice versa. Like, that way when you come to the ballpark, you know what you're going to be doing.
Right.
You're not sitting in the 6th inning going, well, geez, am I getting up for the 8th, or is it the 9th, or am I not going to pitch tonight? Like, the plan. Like there is a game plan.
Yeah, I'm all for it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I mean, we'll get into it a little bit too. But
I mean, the other part with Chapman is like his stuff is never like left.
right.
He still throws 100 plus. He still scares the hell out of a lot of hitters. Like it's all still there. He's just not been able to consistently do it. And I don't know if that's an issue with age, if that's just sometimes he loses it. I don't know what it is, but if you can go back to the Chapman of old, where he could find that every night, it's a home run for the Red Sox.
Yeah, agree. All right, Vaughn Grissom. So he was optioned to minor league camp. Does this mean that Christian Campbell or Marcelo Meyer make this team? Do both make it, or does one make it over the other?
This is hard. This is really hard to figure out what's going to happen here. I mean, Grissom did not hit well all spring.
No.
Let's say what it was. He didn't hit. He's consistently not hit. When he left the Atlanta Braves, he was not hitting.
No.
This is this kid's MO. Good glove, lots of potential, still can't do it. And maybe it's a situation where he needs time. Maybe there's a situation where he just needs to kind of get his mojo back. I don't know. But he cannot seem to consistently hit. So this one makes sense to me.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. I think Grissom is the third man on the list here, maybe even the fourth behind David Hamilton, just because he can't hit his weight.
Yeah, I mean, and Hamilton's not much of a better hitter, but at least he makes a lot more contact.
Yeah.
Grissom just wasn't even making contact. He looked outmatched.
Yeah.
But I think when the Red Sox got Grissom, you obviously had Marcelo Mayer in the system, and then you had Christian Campbell, who was kind of working his way up. And I think Grissom kind of got pushed down the list when Campbell blew up too. Because now really, when you think middle infielders, he's the third guy on that list. And yes, you traded Chris Sale for him. It's terrible if he doesn't amount to anything, but in reality, you were dumping Chris Sale. Like the fact you got anything is a surprise.
Yeah.
Sucks that he goes and wins a Cy Young the next year, but those are the breaks.
Yeah.
But I do think that this means that at least one of those guys makes this team. And I do think that the way it's going, and we'll dive into this a little bit later, I think Campbell is winning.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get into the Red Sox position battles here. So again,
nice picture, Nick.
Yeah, I will never, not throw in a Game of Thrones reference if I can help it. So yes, Red Sox position battles. Here we go. We'll start at third base. I think this one is going to kind of work itself out anyways. And there's a lot of moving parts when we talk about these position plays, right? Because Devers could go to the DH role, like we get it. But who is the Red Sox primary third baseman right now?
Bregman. All indications are it's Bregman. He has played significantly more at third base than Devers has. Devers, the shoulder still is not completely healthy. He doesn't look in shape either. Like there's something going on with Devers. Like I think there's something else physically with him, but he's not in great shape. The shoulder's not healthy. And I think he's going to have to take a step back this year and just DH, which I think is great because Bregman is a Gold Glover and that doesn't hurt the Red Sox at all.
Yeah. Edward, this is a great question. And we've been asking this all spring. Like, is this Devers, like, what Sean always used to say, mental midgetness? Like, is this him not being tough between the ears? Is his shoulder really still bothering him? Like, we don't really know. Is it the signing of Alex Bregman that kind of, unmotivated him? Is it unmotivated? Demotivated. Weird. Anyways,
It's fine.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Like it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be both. But he's still the face of this franchise. And until he steps back and realizes that, which we thought he might have a couple weeks ago when he kind of said, like, I'll do whatever the Red Sox want me to do. We were like, you should have just said that in the first place, buddy. Like, what took you so long?
Where were you a month ago with that sentence?
And we wouldn't be talking about this. We really wouldn't. It would be Bregman and Devers. Now, I think the young guys like have forced Cora's hand to move Bregman to third, right? Like that's where it was because Bregman was a nice backup playing for second base. if the young kids came into spring, they didn't hit, they didn't perform, then it's like, okay, Devers at third, Bregman at second. We don't lose anything. Now you're trying to find a way for these kids to make this team out of spring. And I don't know who the odd man is out. It might be Hamilton. I don't know. But if the kids do come up, I want them to play. And I don't want them sitting. We've talked about that as well. If Roman Anthony makes the team, he's got to be in left. He's got to be your everyday left fielder. If Campbell or Mayer comes up, they have to be your everyday second baseman or wherever you're going to play them. They cannot come up to the major leagues and sit on the bench. They just can't. But I think Bregman's the third baseman here for this year, for sure.
Yeah, and I think what started off with Rafael Devers, having his feelings hurt and his ego bruised, which led to his little, his comment about no, I won't. And then him going to talk to Breslow about, maybe getting traded. And then the whole thing kind of fading away is I think the reality is, I think in the meantime, Devers also realized, like, I'm not physically ready. Right. Like, I can't throw this temper tantrum and demand a trade for not being able to play third base and then come to you on April or on, March 27th and be like, hey, I'm not physically able to go. Like, can you put me somewhere else? So it's one of those, like, careful what you ask for. Because like, if they say, okay, then you're third baseman, you're like, oh geez, I can't play. I'm hurt. It's not a very good look for Devers. So I think he's not in shape. The shoulder's a problem. And in reality, it's going to be a problem. And I think he's somewhat relented in the fact that he knows I think he knows he's not ready to go, but he can hit. And that's the Red Sox signed him not for his glove. They signed him for his bat. So just let him do what he's best at. Let him go out there and rake.
Yep. Yeah. Listen, Edward, we've been on this train for, since 2019. I don't understand how you give the extension to Devers and not pay everything you have in your bank account to keep Mookie in Boston. I will never understand that for as long as I live. He's a top 3 player in baseball and has been since he was an 18. I don't know how the Red Sox didn't find a way to keep Mookie Betts in Boston. I really don't. It's a shame.
No, then you gave basically the contract. You gave almost the same contract to Devers, and you're watching Mookie just continue to tear it up. And we're talking about Devers being physically unable to play third base. This is where we're at.
Yeah,
but I think it's Bregman at third, Devers at DH, probably for the whole season. Will you see Devers maybe at third base on occasion to give Bregman a day off or shift some guys around? Maybe, but I don't think Rafi's bringing his glove to the ballpark very often.
No, I agree.
And that's okay. I mean, David Ortiz was the face of this franchise for a lot of years. I don't think David Ortiz owned a glove.
No, had to borrow one.
Yeah, didn't have to though. Like,
yeah.
What was he best at? Hitting.
Yeah.
Just go hit Rafi.
Yeah. And I hope he can get into that mindset, but we'll see.
And there are some players that don't like to DH because they feel like it takes them out of the flow of the game. Because you spend a lot of time sitting around. Like I get the perspective of I don't want to DH because like it doesn't work for me. At the same time, just go hit. In between innings, like go down the cage, work on your swing, watch video. Do what you got to do to get ready. But like you got you're gonna have 4 big moments each night. Yep. Like just take advantage of them.
Right. All right. Here it is. Who plays second base for the Boston Red Sox? Marcelo Mayer, David Hamilton, or Christian Campbell?
10 days ago, I would have told you it was Mayer, because he was. I mean, and this is no knock on Mayer. He's continued to have a great spring. Like he's been very impressive the way he's been grinding out at bats, playing good defense, continuing to show up and be a kind of taking a leadership role. He's been a more vocal guy. But I think it's been Christian Campbell. I think Christian Campbell is the guy now. He had a bit of a rough, slow start to spring. A lot of strikeouts, definitely getting his feet underneath him, but he's been solid ever since. And defensively, he's been great. He's been even better than advertised. I think poor David Hamilton didn't do anything wrong, but he's going to probably find himself looking for a job or getting demoted. I think Christian Campbell's probably stolen that job. But in all this, I question what that means for Marcelo Mayer. Does Marcelo Mayer go back down to AAA by himself? I mean, does the big two come up and he goes back down? Like, this is a tough one. Like, the Red Sox are in an interesting spot with, you've got 3 young guys who are major league ready, and they've shown it. And now you've got to potentially only take 2. Like, that's a hard one. It's like picking your favorite kid. Like, that's tough.
Right. Everyone has one, but it's still hard to pick.
You just don't talk about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it is Christian Campbell. All indications are the reports we read right before we came on. It sounds like Campbell is going to make the team. Oh, thanks, John. Yeah, my brother-in-law works for the Yard Goats, so I have this one. I have another tricolored hat. It's my absolute favorite one. But yeah, I think it's Campbell that makes his team. He starts at second base, and listen, Meyer's a nice fallback option. Campbell comes up and doesn't do what the Red Sox need him to do, you just flip-flop them.
Yep.
You know, they have a few options. Obviously, they've never been there in the big club yet. So you have, 3 options before you have to DFA them. So I think that's the way they go. I think Campbell starts. Hamilton's like your utility guy on the squad, and then Meyer starts in AAA. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I was really excited to the prospect of having Campbell and Mayer together, being able to continue work together and get better as a double play duo. But I mean, if it comes down to it, and Campbell is the guy, then so be it, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll see.
We're kind of in the same boat as you, Edward. Obviously don't want to see the progression of those 3 guys stunted in any way, but at the same time, like, this is a team that's ready to win now, and you got to make those decisions.
Yeah. All right. Who plays left field here? Roman Anthony or Cedane Rafaela?
I mean, I'm of the opinion that it's got to be Anthony. And again, like, Rafaela didn't do anything to lose his job or to lose his spot, but what you've seen from Anthony, God love Rafaela, but he's not going to do half of what Anthony does. And left field at Fenway is not a super difficult outfield to play. So it's a decent way to get broken in. Got to learn the monster, but you've been doing it all spring. Rafaela could be your super utility guy, who I think he'll probably still play 3 or 4 times a week. Like, he's still going to slide around and fill in for people who need a break. But I think it has to be Anthony. With what you've seen at this point, you can't, with a straight face, send that kid back down.
No, absolutely. I think it's Anthony's job to have opening day, especially with Willie Abreu staying in Florida after being so sick. So both of these guys make the team. I think Rafaela probably starts in right because he's got a little bit more speed. He can cover more ground. Rafaela will play right. Anthony will be in left. But as the season gets cranking and Abreu comes back, depending on how Rafaela is performing, because you're not going to sit him if he's scorching hot. You're going to just ride that out. It's unfortunate that Abreu got as sick as he did, but he's staying in Florida to recover and rehab and all that stuff to get back, which indication says that Cora said he's going to be fine. But it's Anthony's job as of right now, no doubt.
Yeah, and again, like, nothing that Rafaela did to lose the job. Rafaela had a good season last year, a great end of the season.
Yeah.
Very talented guy. But the Red Sox have kind of a log jam in a couple of positions, and I think he's just unfortunately going to have to bounce around while they figure this out.
Yeah. Does Anthony win Rookie of the Year?
If Roman Anthony is playing every day, yes. If he's not, or he gets kind of shipped out for a little while and maybe comes back later, then no, I think Jackson Jobe will. I think he and Jackson Jobe are going to be kind of 1A and 1B, and it's going to just depend on how much Anthony plays.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. Played travel ball with Josh Winkowski when they were 12.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Our big show later, we're going to be talking about some people that we played with. So it's going to be, it's pretty cool. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
All right. Who is the DH? I mean, obviously I want Devers in this spot, but I'm asking this question not mostly because of who I want in the spot, but what the heck do you do with Masataka Yoshida? What do you do with him?
Yeah,
Is
again,
it's a lot of money to just not play.
yeah, again, you're in the spot where you've got Rafaela, Anthony, Yoshida, Duran, Abreu, all fighting for basically 3 positions. I mean, you could call it 4 if you want to include DH, but you got to throw Devers into the mix. I mean, if you're going to have Devers DH, there's no room for Yoshida. If you're going to have Anthony in left and Duran in center and Rafaela in right until Abreu comes back, then there's no spot in the outfield. Like Yoshida is, I think, slowly becoming the man looking in from the outside and he's had a good spring. Like he looks healthy again. Like he looks good. Like the swing is good. Again, he's not a big power hitter, but like a lot of line drives. Like that's the guy we thought we were getting.
Yeah.
And you're finally starting to see it. Now, granted, because he's not 100%, he's going to start the season on a rehab assignment. So he's not going to be at the big club out of the gate. So, for the first few weeks of April, no problem. But like when he's healthy, I don't know what you do with him because you got Devers at DH, you got your outfield settled, you've already got your backup guys. He's too expensive a guy to sit on the bench and watch. You can't leave him in AAA.
No.
I don't know. I mean, you're either hoping that something on the roster clears itself, like somebody needs to get sent down or there's an injury and thankfully you've got a backup, or when he gets back, you got to make a move. Somebody's got to go. And it's frustrating and also awesome at the same time for the Red Sox to be in the spot where you've got all these talented players fighting for so few spots.
Yeah. I think, I was on record saying that I was excited about this signing, right? We saw Yoshida in the WBC. He had signed it in the offseason. Then we saw him in the WBC, and I was like, all right, this is what the Red Sox needed. They needed a contact guy that could occasionally run into one. And he just hasn't quite lived up to that expectation. Yes, he tore his labrum, was it middle of last year, the end of last year. He's still kind of working his way back from that. But it's Devers here, hands down. I just don't know what you do with Yoshida. I think you're right. I think they have to ship him out for either another arm in the rotation. But I mean, do you even do that? Because you got Giolito coming back. You have Sandoval coming back. You have quote unquote enough arms there. Do you go get bullpen help? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you have to turn somebody into a bullpen arm. And maybe you go get a starter. Maybe you're not confident that Sandoval is going to be an impact player for you. Maybe you're not confident that Bayo and Houck are going to stand up for the whole season. Maybe you're not, maybe you don't like what you're seeing with Bayo's progression or his health, where he's at in his throwing program. And maybe it's not Yoshida that goes. Maybe you take a guy like an Abreu and package him up go get some players, because you could put Duran in right, depending on who you want, and you slide Rafael to center, and you could open up a spot if you needed to, or you could move Anthony to right and put Yoshida in left. Like you could get creative and move guys around and make a spot for him. And maybe you find a hole on this team you need to fill, and Abreu is the kind of guy you can move easily for a good package of players in return.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Abreu's young enough, and I think the league as a whole likes his overall package. I think you could package Abreu and Yoshida together to maybe you pry a Brian Wu away from the Mariners at the deadline, or Luis Castillo, or something like that. Because our predictions, the Mariners aren't gonna cut it. They can't hit. Their pitching staff is ridiculous. And at what point do the Mariners tear it down? So that would be some arms to get. And who knows what other teams are going to be out come the trade deadline. There's some good arms to be had out there. So, I mean, we'll see. But I just don't see Yoshida playing a ton here. Now, if Rafael Devers was right-handed or Yoshida was right-handed, then you would just straight up platoon him probably. But since they're both left-handed hitters, Yoshida's the odd man out here.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you could platoon them, I think the importance of Devers and the quality of his bat.
Yeah,
It's just you can't afford to not have him playing pretty much every day. But and again, like it's not that Yoshida hasn't done anything; he just doesn't really have a spot. Like he's not a great DH because he doesn't put up a lot of power. He's not a great defender because he's just not a good defender. So you're kind of stuck in this position where you got a really expensive, middle of the road DH.
Yeah.
And like I didn't like the signing when it happened because I didn't like the makeup of his game. I didn't like how he was going to fit because he can't play defense. But this wasn't a problem early on. Now it is a problem. And you're realizing, oh crap, like we're now trapped by this contract.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when Yoshida's like finally deemed healthy and can come back, the Red Sox have some decisions to make. Are they trading somebody? Are they going to move somebody around? Are they going to demote somebody? I don't know where you go, but you've got too many guys for too few seats.
Yep. Who will be the standout pitcher this year for the Red Sox? So for me, I mean, it's got to be Crochet, right? But I think it's Walker Buehler because I've said it the last few weeks. He has to go out and perform. He's on a 1-year deal, no options, no player options, no team option, no club, no nothing. He's on a full prove it deal. So if he goes out and lays an egg, we're looking at him probably finishing his career with the Marlins or the Rockies or something of that nature, right? Because he's already got the injury history. Yes, he came back. He was great in the postseason. I think Walker has to have a standout year. And I think he will be the one in the Red Sox that I hope him and Crochet are like fighting for the Cy Young at the end of the year, especially with Garrett Cole out. I think it's wide open. I mean, you still got Skubal. Don't get me wrong. But I think Buehler, with all the pressure, has to go out and perform.
I mean, yeah, there's not much more to say to that. I think Crochet is the guy to watch. I think Buehler is a very sneaky choice to be, the other guy to watch for all the reasons Nick said. Like he's got to put it out there. And he looked great in the playoffs, and now he's got to show that he's all the way back because his regular season or the part of the regular season he played last year was not good.
Yeah.
But then he found his stuff in the playoffs.
Yeah. So this is just our Boston specific podcast. We do have our rounding third baseball where we talk about it all, but for it's the Dodgers in the NL, right? I mean, they're leagues above everybody. I think the Diamondbacks could have a decent shot coming out of a wild card spot there. Phillies have a pretty complete team. They could come out of the East there. I mean, but it's the Dodgers in the NL. And then the AL, Harrison and I have gone back and forth on this. We have no idea. Obviously, we love our Red Sox, but I mean, the Yankees are still good. I mean, even losing Cole, they're still going to be there. Are they head and shoulders above the rest of the AL like we thought? Like, no. I mean, unless Fried comes out and just shows absolute ace stuff.
Which he has all spring.
Right. The Yankees could still be there. I think the AL is wide open for anyone to take. I mean, it could be Royals, it could be Tigers, it could be Red Sox, Yankees. The Guardians have an outside shot.
Yeah, I think it's your three AL East teams. It's the Red Sox, Yankees, and Orioles. One of the three of them is probably going to the World Series for the AL.
I would kind of agree with that.
I don't think the Rangers have enough juice. I don't think the Royals are quite there yet, although they're close. And that hurts because the Royals are my second favorite team.
Rangers, White Sox. All right.
I mean, it'll be a fun game at least.
That's
It'll be
awesome.
fun to watch the Rangers just hit bombs.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I mean, any game's a good game to go to. Let's be serious. It's Major League Baseball, but yeah, I think the NL, it's the Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks, Braves, and Phillies, are gonna make it interesting. But the Dodgers are clearly the NL favorite, and the Yankees were clearly the AL favorite until the injuries, and now it's kind of an open race.
Yeah. All right. Who is the closer? I know we touched upon it a little bit, but who do you think's the closer? Edward thinks he's gonna perform on the mound, and at the beginning of the show, I kind of think that him knowing that he's going to be here all year and not traded at the deadline, I think helps Chapman a lot. Whether he'll be good or not, I mean, I sure hope so, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't.
Again, like we said, if we're going to get the Chapman of old where he can actually command and control like he used to, then he's going to be a disgusting weapon.
Yeah.
If you get the Chapman the last couple of years where he's all over the place, that's going to be a problem. And Hendricks, you haven't seen pitch.
Right.
I mean, he came back last year for what, like a minute, and then they shut him back down.
Yeah.
He's pitching over a year.
He's had a tough go of it. Had cancer, came back. Tommy John. It's like, damn, man, like just tough stretch there.
Yeah, I mean, he's only been active for like a few months of the last couple of years. Like, you don't even know what he looks like so much. I mean, and he's been pitching this spring, but a lot of it's been like building up, so you still like haven't really seen him yet.
Yeah.
But when Liam Hendricks comes out and endorses Chapman because of what he's seen and how good he's been, that says a lot. When the guy you're competing with goes, man, this guy's really good. He should be the guy. It's like, whoa, okay. Like, what are you seeing? Because clearly you have a belief there.
Yeah. John, we agree with this point. We've been talking about it. Like, as Red Sox fans, like, we're not really sure where they're going to trim the roster. Like, they're still sitting at 47, what I read earlier today.
Yep.
They got to get it down to 25. They got to tell 22 kids that they're like, sorry, like, you're not making the team. Like, you're good enough, but you're just not there. Yeah, their roster is definitely interestingly put together. They finally have speed. They have some pop. So I think they're a pretty well-rounded team. It's the pitching staff is the question marks. What are we going to get out of the new guys? Is Whitlock back? Whitlock's a big question mark.
Yeah, super effective guy.
Yeah, when he's on. But
yeah.
Oh, listen, John,
we are right there with you. I'm installing a seatbelt in this chair for these games. Like,
I've already ordered my friggin' heart medication for this season because every time we have a 1 or 2 run lead in the 9th and we see this guy come in, like, dude, my heart's just gonna be like.
I mean, the nice thing the last couple of years is when they got to the 9th of the lead, you kind of just knew they were going to blow it. So it was more like a surprise when they didn't. I mean, the Red Sox blew 33 saves last year. They led all of baseball with 33. Yeah. Sorry, the White Sox blew more, like 35. Red Sox had the second most blown saves in baseball last year. Like, you just knew. They went into the 9th with a 2-run lead. Okay, how are they going to lose tonight? Let's see it.
Yep.
And then when they won, you're like, oh my God, like, what is that feeling? I don't understand.
Yeah.
This is going to be in reverse. You're going to be like all pumped up they can win and then be scared to death he's going to give it away.
Yeah.
But John, your comment, like, ditto. That's how we feel.
Yep. 1,000%. Yeah. And Edward, you're completely right. Time will tell for all players. Baseball is a funny game like that, right? I mean, they could go out and pitch the lights out and still lose. Like, that's baseball. Oh, Shannon's a big Orioles fan. No, we've loved the Orioles. We really have. Like, talking about the AL East, I just don't think they did enough in the offseason to continue their run. Unfortunately, in my prediction, I hope I'm wrong, by the way. I really do. I have them finishing 4th behind the Blue Jays just because they didn't address the loss of Santander. They didn't address the loss of Corbin Burns. So you did, okay, you addressed it. You replaced it with Tyler O'Neill and Sugano, a 37-year-old Japanese pitcher who could be lights out, could not be. We don't know. But I love how young the Orioles are. I love the guys that they have on their team and their roster. I love their manager. They can't get past the first round, and they didn't do anything to make themselves better this offseason. They really didn't.
Yeah. So, well, I agree with Nick that they didn't do enough things to make themselves better this offseason. I have slightly higher expectations for them because I think the core is still so good. Because I think the AL East is going to be the Red Sox and the Orioles duking it out, and the Yankees kind of hanging around too. But I think it's going to be the Red Sox or the Orioles that win the division, probably the Red Sox. But I think the Orioles are right there in the fight. But I think the issue with the Orioles is going to be starting pitching. Do they have enough? And I don't know if they do. But boy, can the young guys hit?
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But all right, Harrison, you have Red Sox trivia for us tonight.
I do have a few questions for you, Nick. Just want to mix in some Sox specific.
Let's
And we're
see
gonna
what we got.
bounce around a little bit because I found some interesting ones that I want to go through.
All right.
So we all know we all know them as the Boston Red Sox. But do you know what the official team name was from 1901 to 1907?
It's either the Boston Americans or the Boston Red Stockings.
So you are sort of right. So officially, the Red Sox or the Boston team endorsed no name. They had no official name. They were known as the Bostons, the Bostonians, or sometimes the Boston Americans, which was basically Boston American Leaguers,
Right.
because Boston had two teams in the city. But effectively, their jerseys, home and away, just said Boston. They had no official team name.
Gotcha.
The Americans was effectively just what teams called them to differentiate the fact they weren't the National League team.
Fair.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, the Boston Braves was the other one in there, but they were two separate franchises, right?
They were two separate franchises.
Yeah.
All right. This is a cool Red Sox specific and MLB record. Who was the first player in MLB history to win the MVP, Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, batting title, and World Series in the same season?
Fred Lynn?
Not Freddie Lynn. Because you got a World Series in there.
Oh, right. So it has to be 04 or later or way, way back.
Yep.
Oh, no, they didn't have Gold Gloves back then.
They did.
So it's got to be somebody recent.
Yep. So MVP, Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, batting title, World Series, all in one season.
Well, and take Manny Ramirez out. All in one season. 2000. Let's go. 4, 7, 13, 18. Was it Mookie Betts?
It was Mookie Betts in 2018.
18. Yeah.
Yeah. Led the major leagues with a 346 batting average, scored 129 runs, had the highest fielding percentage among all major league right fielders at 996. And we know the Red Sox won the World Series. Thank you to Steve Pearce.
And you're welcome, Los Angeles Dodgers. My God. That's a good one.
All right. This is a throwback question, Nick, but I have to ask it because it's kind of a wild one.
Cy Young.
So, yeah, no, but you're in the right era.
Oh, God.
Which Red Sox player holds the MLB record for most unassisted double plays by an outfielder?
Unassisted double plays by an outfielder.
Think about that. Unassisted double plays by an outfielder.
Oh, my goodness. And I got to go back to like Cy Young days.
You got to go back a ways.
There's no way I'm pulling this. Jimmy Fox.
Not Jimmy Fox. We've talked about this player on the pod a few times because I want to say he was part of the doubles list.
Tris Speaker.
Tris Speaker.
Wow.
So Tris Speaker played so shallow in the outfield, he was able to execute 6 career unassisted double plays at second base because he would catch a low line drive and keep running and beat the base runner back to the base.
Dang.
I saw that. I was like, you have to be kidding me. That's a cool question.
Listen, Will, I don't hate this answer. Well, Manny Ramirez beat his own drum. Like, I mean,
jeez.
I've given fans high fives and double them off at first, but the dude was cutting off Johnny Damon in the outfield. Loved Ramirez, but
all right.
John has won the record.
No, 6. 6 is the record, which is mind-boggling to think.
It's still cool.
All right. We're gonna go with some. I got a basic Sox question for you, but I want some specifics on it. So, Harry Frazee traded Babe Ruth to the Yankees for what?
It was the rights to a play. I should know the name of the play. Ah, man, I can't remember it. Right? It was the rights to a play. Correct?
It wasn't the rights, but it was about a play.
Oh, I don't know then, because I thought it was for the rights of the play.
So
maybe not.
Yeah, no. So Frazee traded Ruth for the money to finance the play.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
All right.
It was he needed financing for the play. Yeah, a nickel. So the other questions were going to be: do you know the amount that he traded them for, and do you know the name of the play?
$100.
A little bit more than $100.
1,000.
No, actually, this is a pretty tidy sum of money back in these days.
Huh. So it's higher than 1,000.
Oh yeah,
100,000? Is that where did I
little
ever have
higher.
that? A little higher. 150,000.
A little lower. Split the difference.
Oh my goodness. 125.
$125,000 cash to finance which Broadway play?
I don't know. The Curse of the Bambino.
Well, no, they created that because of this trade.
Yeah.
So the
I
Broadway
should
play,
know
the
this.
Broadway play was No No Nanette.
Yes, I actually did know that. I wouldn't have been able to pull it, but I've heard it before for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like,
Was it damn Yankees?
it's
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it might as well have been. All right.
Hold on, but before we get into this next one though, like that just reminded me of like what Forrest brought. Baseball History Dork said to us on a show, a few months back, was there's a story that Joe DiMaggio was almost traded for Ted Williams straight up. And it was because DiMaggio's swing fits Fenway and Williams' swing fits Yankee Stadium and all of that. It was supposedly written all out on a napkin. And then obviously it never happened. But that would have been crazy to have those two swap at that point. But
yeah, could you imagine like how different history is if that happened?
Yeah.
All right.
Just the trajectory of both franchises would be nuts.
Yeah, that would just be bananas.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I got a couple I want to ask you that are like deep pulls, but I think they're cool questions. So
All right.
I got a couple more for you. All right. So whose mad dash resulted in the heavily favored Boston Red Sox losing the 1946 World Series? So in 1946 they played the Cardinals, and there's a famous mad dash that resulted in the winning run.
So
we've talked about this player on the pod before.
Is it Don DiMaggio?
No, it's a Cardinals player.
Oh, Lou Brock.
No, good one though.
I think it was too late. 46. Mad dash.
Yeah, we've talked about him on the pod. I can't remember what question he was in.
Hornsby is too early.
Yeah, they had a player in between.
Musial?
No, right era.
I got nothing. All
right, so in Game 7, Cardinals manager Eddie Dyer called for a hit and run with Eno Slaughter on first base. Harry Walker lined the ball to left center field, and then it was chaos. And Slaughter came around to score what would be the winning run.
Yep, Eno Slaughter. Nice.
All right, who was the first Red Sox player to hit 50 home runs in a single season?
Ortiz.
No, good guess. That was actually my first guess.
50 in a season.
Yeah, first player to hit 50 home runs in a single season.
Did Mo Vaughn get 50?
He didn't. He fell short.
Is it before him?
It is.
Let's go.
You're going back to one of the legends of Boston.
Was it Jimmy Fox?
It was Jimmy Fox in 1938. He was the first Red Sox player to hit 50 home runs in a season.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yep. Especially back then it was.
Yeah, that was like unheard of back then. I mean, even Babe Ruth didn't hit 50 in a season. Just that's a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
All right. This is a cool one. I don't think it's a name you'll know because honestly, like I'd look him up. But which pitcher holds the franchise record for lowest single season ERA? And this is back in Cy Young's time. It wasn't Cy.
Yeah. Mordecai Brown. I
mean, fair guess.
Three Finger Willie.
Nope. And it wasn't Tippy Fairbanks. You can't take my answer.
Yeah, well, that's why I was trying to come up with something else.
All right. So it was in 1914. It was his second year in the major leagues, but Dutch Leonard led the American League with an ERA of .96.
Dang.
The MLB record, well, Tim Keefe holds the MLB record of .86. If you don't count that record, because it was his first season, it was before stats were necessarily kept the same way, and he only pitched 105 innings, Dutch Leonard would have the lowest ERA of all time.
Wow. That's wild.
0.96 over a whole season, pitching a full starting slate.
Dang.
Right?
That's crazy. Man.
That is bananas.
Yeah.
All right. One more. Another one. I just think it's a cool question. Which MVP award winner retired due to a fear of flying? So the Red Sox had a guy win an MVP and retire shortly after because he had an intense fear of flying. So once MLB expanded, he retired.
He won MVP?
Yeah, he won the MVP in 1958 and then retired 2 years later because of a fear of flying.
Not going to lie. The 50s to 70s is like my weak spot in baseball in general.
Yeah.
Johnny Pesky.
No, but it's a good one. I'll give you 4 options. Ted Williams, Tris Speaker, Jimmy Fox, Jackie Jensen.
Feel like I would have, I'm going to say Jensen.
You are absolutely correct. It was
just because
Jackie Jensen.
Because I think I would have heard the story if it was the other 3.
100%. That's why this one's so odd.
Yeah.
So he was named the AL MVP in 1958. He hit 35 home runs, led the league with 122 RBIs, retired 2 years later for an intense fear of flying as MLB as expansion started. He refused to get on an airplane. Tried to come back the year after, but would have panic attacks at the airport and couldn't play.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, that's bananas.
Yeah. Jackie Jensen. Wow. You actually knew that. All right. Nice.
Wow.
One.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's a fantastic pull.
Yep. Yeah, I would not have had that for sure. But
that's the same as probably throwing 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, that's the one thing I wish we knew how hard these guys actually threw back then. Because like it looks like they're throwing like 65, 70 miles an hour, but like there's people that reported that Walter Johnson threw 100. And they've done studies and I think they proved that maybe a couple of guys were able to break 90, but I even doubt that.
Yeah. That's like I said, they were throwing a sock, right? I mean, like the baseball's completely different now than it was back then. Like you can't throw a sock 90 miles an hour. Sorry.
No, and there's
Just
no
not
way.
happening.
There's no way with the windups that they had and the lack of like lower body activity,
right,
that they could throw that hard without like throwing their arms out because
right,
like everything was rhythm. It wasn't power, it was rhythm, and you can't throw that hard just rocking. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't make sense to me.
All right. Anything else Red Sox related for tonight?
Just one quick thing. The news came out a few hours ago that the Red Sox have parted ways with Adam Ottavino. They informed him today that he was not going to be joining the big club, which I don't think anybody expected him to. And he had said, "That's just cut me loose. Then, like, let me go try to hang on somewhere else." Yeah. So rather than take a demotion to minor league camp and AAA and work his way back up, he just opted to ask for his release, which they gave him, and so he's now gone. That reunion is over. I don't think that was ever going anywhere, but
no.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Good luck back in Colorado, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and he was with the Red Sox before and it did not go well.
Yeah. Nope.
So it's one of those where it's like, maybe it's better off not to make the reunion tour.
Yep. I agree. All right. Well, that will do it for the Red Sox show, but stay with us. We will be back on in about 5 minutes for the MLB show. We'll be back on for Rounding Third Baseball podcast in about 5 minutes. But before you go, check us out on Rounding Third Boston. It is a separate page from our Rounding Third Baseball podcast. So check that out on Facebook. Give us a follow, give us a like. We will post everything Red Sox there, videos, ongoing stats, and all of that stuff throughout the season. And the season's coming Thursday. Opening night is Thursday. So we will be back on, like I said, in 5 minutes for Rounding Third Baseball podcast. So join us then.
Awesome.